right. Hello everyone. Thank you for inviting me here. My name is Victoria Preston. I'm a nurse here at this hospital, and my specialty is mitochondrial disease in pediatric patients. I've made a copy of my notes. Everyone has a handout, I hope, and you'll be able to refer to the handout as we go along. Sometimes when I talk about mitochondrial disease, I switch to Mito for short. I'm still talking about mitochondrial disease, it's just easier to say Mito. So if you hear that, you know I'm talking about mitochondrial disease. So has anyone here ever had the flu? If you've ever had the flu, you know how tired you feel, how bad you feel. You have no energy whatsoever to get up and do anything, and that's how these kids feel. They have no energy because their body can't make it. My daughter actually has mitochondrial disease and has suffered with this for the past 5 years. Research shows that mitochondrial disease is very difficult to diagnose because it affects so many different organ systems. The patients present with very different symptoms and complaints, and the doctors aren't sure what's going on with the patient. Patients don't look sick. They feel sick, but they don't look sick. That's why it's called an invisible illness. It can be life-threatening. There's no cure. The treatment is basically for the symptoms that the patient presents with, and general supportive treatments for the problems that they're having. Today I'm going to talk about how Mito causes low energy with patients, problems with organ systems, goals of treatment, that there's no cure, and what we as nurses can do. I've got a piece of artwork here that I put together to help you understand. I got the information from the Muscular Dystrophy Association website. Here you can see this is a cell, and this is some mitochondria within the cell. You might remember that from your anatomy physiology classes. And this is also in your handout, so go ahead and refer to your handout if you can't see this one. There are many mitochondria in a cell, and fat and sugar is taken into the mitochondria, and they need to change the fat and the sugar into ATP, which is energy, so the patients can actually have energy to use. My daughter has a problem in this area right here, the electron transport chain, and they can get all the energy they need if the sugar and fats work through the mitochondria and come out as energy. But if they can't get this to work, they'll never have enough energy. And thank you to the Muscular Dystrophy Association for that idea. According to the United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation, Mito is a dysfunction of the mitochondria. They have low energy, they have GI symptoms, muscle pain, weakness, diabetes, visual problems, respiratory problems, seizures, liver failure, cardiac problems. It can affect so many systems. That's why it's so hard to diagnose. It can be caused by genetics. You can get it from your family. It can be caused by environmental factors. It can be just a spontaneous reaction to something. It's difficult to diagnose. They do blood testing, muscle biopsies, clinical observations, and buccal swabs, which is a cheek swab, and that's how my daughter was diagnosed, with a cheek swab. But none of these are 100% reliable. There's hundreds of different mitochondrial diseases because there's so many different mitochondria doing so many different things. According to Mito Action and UMDF, there's no cure. Goals are to alleviate symptoms and slow down the progression of the disease. Vitamin therapy can be used. Dietary supplements called mitochondrial cocktail. They need to conserve energy as much as possible. specific treatment for specific symptoms. Patients are going to need physical therapy, respiratory therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, IV fluids. A service dog could be helpful. Handicapped equipment like wheelchairs, braces, that kind of thing. A ramp up to your house could help. The biggest thing to avoid is stress with these patients. Stress makes everything so much worse. Cigarettes and alcohol for the adult patients to be avoided. Get as much sleep as possible and avoid MSG. The challenges of living with Mito is it's such a poorly understood illness, and the family and the patient spend so much energy searching for answers and searching for help. It's a real challenge. Misdiagnosis is a problem. Until they get the real diagnosis, they still aren't getting the care they need. There's support groups. UMDF has chapters in the communities that you can get help from them. So we've learned about Mito today. It's difficult to diagnose and treat. There's no cure. There's many different complaints. It's hard to diagnose because there's so many systems involved. Fatigue is the main complaint, and try to slow down the progression of a disease as much as possible. We have an opportunity to raise awareness in the community by having sponsoring walks, sponsoring a run, raising money for funds such as cupcake sales, cookie sales, craft sales, to raise money for research. If you get a patient that has mitochondrial disease, treat her like a princess. If you have any questions, call me. I'm on the 4th floor. My extension is 4775. Are there any questions from the audience? Yes.
How long do people live with mitochondrial disease?
Patients can live into their midlife 50s. It depends on the severity of the illness in each patient. Some patients don't make it out of their teen years.
Does the temperature of their environment affect these patients?
Yes, temperature is very important because the patients can't regulate their temperature. So extreme temperatures need to be avoided. If it's really, really hot outside, you need to make sure you have ice packs. They have an ice pack vest you can get. Have your van or car, the air conditioner running. Avoid letting them get too hot. And also, too cold is a problem. So you need to have the heat on in your van, bundle them up good, and keep your house set at a normal, average degree. My daughter can't stand it anything over 64 degrees.
If I have Mito, can I pass it on to my kids?
Possibly. If your mitochondrial disease is genetic, then it does come from your family, can go on to your children. But if it is a spontaneous illness, it might not transfer. Any more questions? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for having me here. I hope to see you around. Thank you.